Whether your verticals as revenue models are interdependent?
Well, they are independent and interdependent. The independent part of it, I say, is because till now each one of them have worked independently. The challenge is going to make them interdependable or make them integrated rather than using the word interdependable. Once we make them integrated and interdependable, that is when we will also see a spurt in the revenues for the company by doing the same single transaction. So if we were to just import a container for a customer and do nothing beyond that, then our revenue is X. But if you were to import that a container for a customer, warehouse it, manage the warehouse operations, distribute it to various stores or to his manufacturing facilities, and see that the product reaches in time, bring down his lead time in terms of delivery of product, in terms of saving working capital for him, and that is and have a fee-based model and have income coming from attaining or achieving certain key milestones or key performance indicators or KPIs as we call it in the industry. That is what we are trying to do as a company, and that is how it's an integrated model. If you call it whether it is dependent or independent of each other, they can work in both fashions, but we would like it to work in an interdependable or an integrated fashion.
How do you look at growth of logistics industry and your positioning in that?
Well, the growth of the logistics industry is something which has to happen. India is right now, as we know, a $1 trillion economy. The spend of about 14% of the GDP is on the supply chain in India. Whereas if you look at the comparisons globally, it's at about 9%. So we are looking at a $50 billion inefficiency in the supply chain system as far as India is concerned. Now that is really what you and me as consumers pay for product and services because of the inefficiencies in the supply chain. So the future to correct these inefficiencies is itself tremendous, and for the business, for companies like ours, the future for companies like ours or logistics industry per se is tremendous, as Indian economy is rising also. People are talking in terms of 6.7, 6.8% growth. Even if India was to grow for the next 10, 12 years at 5%, we are looking at this $1 trillion economy going to $2 trillion. And if that be the case, then furthermore efficiency has to come in. Government of India right now has a very clear mandate from the public of India, where Congress party and its allies have been given the power to probably rule India for the next 5 years comfortably without much of challenges as it had in the earlier time. They are also gone ahead and talked about what is known as inclusive growth. Now inclusive growth, that means they are looking at people which are at the bottom of the pyramid really going up in their stature and in their purchasing power. And if that needs to be done, if you put the money in their hand through giving them right kind of education, right kind of jobs, and if they are going to start spending money, you need to see that the product is also delivered to them at the right price, at the right place, at the right time. And that itself is also going to propel this industry tremendously.